The invitation arrived in an envelope without a sender. The yellowed paper smelled old, as if it had been stored for centuries. The hand-drawn letters formed a cryptic message: "You have been chosen. Follow the instructions and come discover the truth." John, an archaeology student, looked at the note with a mixture of suspicion and fascination. Was it a joke? An academic prank? Logic told him to ignore it, but curiosity was irresistible. Following the instructions, he found himself embarking on an unexpected journey. The coordinates took him to a remote region, a dense, untouched forest that seemed to hold long-forgotten secrets. The walk was exhausting, the uneven, damp ground challenging every step. At the end of the trail, between moss-covered rock formations, he found a narrow crevice, hidden as if the earth itself wanted to conceal it. A rudimentary elevator was revealed between the rocks, its metal structure corroded by time. Hesitating for a moment, John examined the mechanism. No buttons, no visible levers. The silence around him was absolute, as if the world itself were holding its breath. A sudden tremor ran through the structure and, without him touching anything, the elevator began to descend. The movement was smooth, but the surrounding darkness made it impossible to see the destination below. With every meter down, a sense of anticipation grew inside him. Then the darkness gave way to a bluish, unearthly light. The landscape that unfolded before his eyes defied any logical explanation. Beneath the surface, a city stretched out in an underground valley, glittering in the light emitted by crystals embedded in the cave walls. Elegant buildings of unknown architecture stood on different levels, connected by suspended walkways. Small silent vehicles glided along the illuminated streets, and human forms walked quietly between the structures, their flowing robes suggesting a style completely alien to the modernity of the surface. As he stepped onto the soil of Aeteris, the young archaeologist felt a shiver run down his spine. It all seemed to belong to a world apart, a secret hidden for ages. A man with golden eyes approached with a serene but imposing posture. His presence emanated a silent authority, as if he didn't need words to make himself understood. With a subtle gesture, he indicated that John should follow him. With no alternative and his mind swarming with questions, he obeyed, going deeper and deeper into the underground city. Guided through the wide streets of Aeteris, John felt the eyes of the inhabitants resting on him with a mixture of curiosity and recognition, as if his presence was expected. The buildings had details carved with surgical precision, and the material of the construction seemed to pulsate slightly under the light of the crystals. Nothing there was familiar, and at the same time there was a strange sense of belonging. Led to an imposing central structure, he was led into a hall with a vaulted ceiling, filled with inscriptions that seemed to tell a forgotten story. Humanoid figures, geometric shapes, stars connected by sinuous lines. Each trace told something that the books on the surface had never mentioned. There, it was revealed to him that Aeteris was no ordinary city, but the last bastion of an ancient civilization, hidden from the world for millennia. A haven of lost knowledge, guarded from those who once ruled the surface. The city's historical records revealed a past unlike anything John had ever learned. The world's most impressive monuments, the pyramids, the megalithic temples, the submerged cities, were not just human achievements. Entire civilizations had disappeared not by chance, but by deliberate intervention. Aeteris was the silent witness to the rise and fall of empires that should never have been forgotten. And now, there seemed to be a new plan afoot. Among the citizens of Aeteris, John met Layla, a scientist who guided him through the corridors of the Great Archive. There, he came across documents and records that contradicted everything humanity believed to be true. There was evidence that Aeteris was not isolated just to protect itself, but to prepare. The isolation was not an accident, but a strategy. Something was about to happen, and their presence there might not be a coincidence, but part of a carefully plotted plan. As he absorbed the information, John realized that his arrival marked the beginning of something bigger. He hadn't just been invited to meet Aeteris. He had been chosen to decide the future of the world. Days passed in Aeteris, and John delved deeper into the mysteries of the hidden city. He realized that the apparent tranquility hid a growing tension. The city's leaders seemed divided between those who wished to keep civilization hidden and those who believed it was time to emerge and claim control of the surface world. In a secret meeting, John discovered the truth that had hitherto been hidden from him. Aeteris had not only been observing the world, but influencing it for centuries. Political crises, natural disasters, changes in the course of humanity. It was all part of a meticulous plan. Now, the city was preparing for its final stage, to reveal its existence and subjugate surface civilization. Layla, who had already shown her discomfort with the leadership's plans, led John to a group of dissidents. They believed that isolation was the only way to preserve peace and feared that confrontation with humanity would lead to a devastating conflict. Armed with valuable information, they were ready to act, but they needed John to carry out their plan. The choice now fell to him. Remaining neutral was impossible. The fate of the world depended on the decision he would make in the next few moments. The battle for the future was about to begin. At the decisive moment, John sabotaged Aeteris central systems, interrupting the activation of the technology that would allow it to advance over the surface. Chaos overtook the city as the leaders tried to regain control. Layla and the dissidents helped him escape through the same entrance through which he arrived. Back on the surface, John believed he had ended the threat. But weeks later, he realized that changes in the world were happening anyway. Governments were collapsing, unknown technologies were emerging, and the sky itself seemed to be shining differently. One last message reached him: nothing ends, it only changes. See you soon. Share your opinion in the comments and tell us if you believe these cities really can and what mysteries remain to be uncovered. If you like this story and want to explore more stories like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The unknown still has a lot to teach us.